go to Gaurav Bhatia, BJP's spokesperson who joins us. Gaurav, Manish Tiwari, interestingly, congressman, has come out in a way in support of it, but most opposition parties now strongly opposing it, and you've seen what's happened on the streets in the last 48 hours. Many will say reforms don't take place in a vacuum. Everybody wants the army to reform, but reforms don't take place in a vacuum. The people who are feeling adversely affected are angry and fearful, mainly the young. Teenagers are saying their hopes will go after 4 years if they have only 4-year terms. Did the Modi government, Gaurav Bhatia, once again go ahead with a scheme without factoring the potential adverse consequences?
Rajdeep, you're absolutely right that reforms are not made in a vacuum. And let me make this statement very responsibly that there is no knee-jerk reaction. It's a well-thought scheme. What are the advantages? Let me tell you first. First of all, every youth in the country aspires to serve in the armed forces, serve the country. Fulfillment of that dream. I think nothing is more honorable, even for a day, if you can serve the country well. Second, the pay package itself is very competitive. They would be trained in other skills also. So once the 4 years tenure comes to an end, they would have other employment opportunities also. And as you are aware, UP government, Madhya Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Haryana have already announced that they would give priorities to these Agniveers.
But that seems to be an afterthought.
25%.
No, 1 minute. You know, the problem, Gaurav Bhatia, all of this seems to be an afterthought. The fact is, people are fearful. This is a country, Gaurav, where people are facing a job emergency. Lakhs of people, for them, the army is a way of life, a badge of identity. Now, suddenly the government overnight says, we are changing the system, new system. You don't take people into confidence. That's the problem.
Okay. So, Rajdeep, a few important points I wish to make. First, is it that the new Agnipath scheme has been launched to the exclusion of other opportunities available in the armed forces, like the selection in the regular, forces? No. The answer is no. Second, Short Service Commission also gives a tenure of 10 years. So there also, whoever joins the Short Service Commission knows that the tenure length is 10 years. And to say that, 4 years of serving in the armed forces is not enough to evoke patriotism, I think is insulting the youth who are willing to serve the country well. Your second point, see, opposition should also not operate in a vacuum. Rajdeep, India, especially when Narendra Modi ji is the Prime Minister, the opposition has been opposing schemes like one rank, one pension implemented by Modi ji. They have opposed the GST, which has worked very well for us. CAA, the rules haven't come, but the opposition parties have opposed it. So, Rajdeep, we are open to a dialogue with the youth because they are our youth. But any youth resorting to violence, attacking uniformed police persons also is not a right given to anybody.
No, nobody is justifying the violence. The problem, Gaurav Bhatia, seems to be that when you bring in reforms, you have to have strong messaging with it. The messaging is missing. It cannot be overnight. Suddenly you declare that we are changing the way our recruitment is done. This is very different to short service commissions. These are 17-year-olds who at the age of 21, 75% of them could suddenly be told, look, now you've got to find a life outside the army, and that's not easy for people to deal with. You need strong messaging. I come back to it. Government comes up with these reforms. We saw it with farm laws, but you're not able to send the right messaging to stakeholders, and that's going to create, as we've seen already, chaos and disruption.
Rajdeep, let me make it very clear to you that first of all, the messaging has been very effective also, because there are millions of youth who have welcomed this scheme because they feel it's an opportunity to serve the country, learn and hone their skills, and then also look for other employment opportunities. And more important than messaging, Rajdeep, you need to understand is execution, concrete execution. One rank, one pension. I was giving you an example. 30 years could not be implemented. Do you know 42,600 crore has been spent on one rank, one pension?
No, but that's the problem. No, Mr. Bhatia. Mr. Bhatia, that's the problem. You've gone with one, 1 minute. You've gone with one rank, one pension. Now, one of the arguments being made to bring in this scheme is that the pension budget has ballooned. You brought in one rank, one pension without thinking it through again, because at that moment it seemed a populist way of reaching out to army veterans. Today some of those own veterans are telling us, you heard on the program, that the answer is not to then change the recruitment scheme. You want to reform the army or simply bring down your pension budget now?
Rajdeep, for you and some other detractors, especially in the opposition, army could be measured through the ballooning pension budget. But when one rank, one pension was implemented, the Prime Minister made an announcement, and it was a matter of pride for us to ensure that people who have sacrificed everything for the country, they deserve the best and they get the best. And I don't want to get into the economics of it, but you know how fiscal discipline is maintained. The defense budget is at its highest because of the revenue collections. The pension budget, let me give you a number, which was around 44,000 crore during the UP era, is 1,35,000 crore. But this policy is not because of the ballooning pension budget. It is because we want a leaner, younger force which will supplement the other warriors who are serving the country well. And look at the model worldwide.
No, it's interesting you're saying that. Let me be honest, Gaurav Bhatia, no one denies that we need a more efficient army. The question is, could this not have been done as a pilot project, as some are suggesting, General Bhatia was suggesting? Have a smaller pilot project, implement it effectively first, then you expand it. The problem is this big bang, this desire to have these big headlines. That is the problem. When reform comes in a country like India, you have to somewhere experiment with it and then implement it. Why go ahead with a big bang project without first knowing whether it can be executed and implemented on the ground?
Rajdeep, I think it is not your fault. You have a different perspective, which I respect.
It's not me, it's General Bhatia and the other veterans.
No, I respect General Bhatia. Not for the surname that we have in common, but because he served the country well. The point that I am making is, the government is in the best position to decide how to implement the new scheme. And you would also not deny, people thought that one rank, one pension cannot be implemented. It has been implemented. War memorial, super specialty hospitals for our Jawans, disability pension that has been increased, women fighter pilots. You know, these are the things that show that there is a firm resolve that Shri Narendra Modi ji has. And let me say this very responsibly. This policy is a game changer. The youths that want to serve the country, and there are millions of them who are celebrating that Agnipath has been launched, and they feel that 4 years that they will spend will make them a better individual,